Many of you have asked for the recipe from the Milkweed Inn for the brioche donuts. And here it is. I only had to change 2 things. I converted active dry yeast by dividing the quantity by 1.5, and I used my own starter dough, which has quite a bit of whole wheat flour in it. Take a look at the percentages in the spreadsheet. Any dough over 20% of fat or sugar is going to give you a nice, sweet, tender, enriched dough, and both ingredients came in around 25%. There's a lot of vanilla bean, whole milk for flavor and tenderness, instant yeast for a nice additional boost to the starter, all-purpose flour, which isn't as strong as bread flour, so it makes the overall dough a little softer, and whole egg. All of the ingredients are serving the final goal, which is a very tender, light donut that raises very well in a moderate around 350 oil, holds its shape but is very tender and delicate, and takes a little bit of glaze. There are more than one type of brioche to make and more than one method. So this is the type and method that I followed according to Chef Lane. Into the bowl on a hook goes the AP flour, salt, and sucrose. While the milk is being heated to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, I moved the eggs, egg white, and vanilla bean paste into their own deli cup. I added the warmed milk, followed by the instant yeast, and then all of the eggs. After it mixed a moment, I added the starter. My starter happens to be a lot more whole wheat flour than the Milkweed Inn's, and it did change the flavor and the texture slightly. The butter is soft and is added 1 bit at a time, waiting for it to get incorporated before adding more. The first mix, or 1 to 3 minutes, is to ensure that the ingredients are hydrated and a cohesive mixture is beginning. From 3 to 6 minutes, you're going to see the dough really come together. At that point, I started adding the butter. At 25% sucrose and 25% butter, as you add the butter, it almost gets rejected. So you have to be very patient and go very slowly. That seems to be the key to a lot of really good foundational recipes, doesn't it? After all of the butter is incorporated, I continued to mix on medium with a hook for almost 20 minutes. The butter coats the gluten strands, much like your fingers coated in a slippery ingredient. That makes them tender to the tooth, so they're not as strong as, let's say, a baguette dough or a lean dough that has no fat in it. That means the gluten is less developed, and when it goes in the refrigerator overnight, the butter will solidify and firm up, which makes a less sticky dough, but the gluten strands will continue to unravel, align, and reconnect in a way that strengthens slowly and in the refrigerator. It will also gain flavor overnight and be ready to be rolled out in the morning. In a greased bowl and with some plastic wrap, the dough should be covered tightly so as not to absorb any odors or moisture. And I personally like doing recipes that take more than 1 day. It builds in passive time, and it makes it all so much more worth it.